Bob lives! Oh my gosh. This is not the level of professionalism I intend to bring to my first video summary for you folks. My goodness. Well, anyway, I was very concerned. I live alone in my apartment, though my lovely partner Steven is here constantly. I do need to be able to get myself to the high school to teach in the morning. And Bob was not starting. My poor little 2013 Corolla. I am a Corolla girly to my core. My first car was actually a 96 Corolla. All four rolling windows. No CD drive. I actually had a tape deck, which I played my dad's tapes, and then finally got connected to my phone. And there were two keys. One key unlocked the car, and then one key started the car. So that meant that I had to reach across and unlock the passenger doors for everybody. A tangent in which to summarize that, yes, Bob lives. Yes. Anyway, where was I? So, somebody had said, let's just review it again. I want to look and study at art because it is a way people have shared messages and stories throughout history, and I think that is a perfect summary. Art history was not something, or a subject really, that I considered deeply prior to taking some of my first art history courses at TC&J in my undergrad, and it is a subject that has just outmatched every single other possible subject in my life. It is amazing. It's interesting. I love seeking out art. I love reading books about art history. I actually just finished a book, which I think you all should read. I'm going to put this when we get to Egypt. But it is this. It's called Nefertiti by Michelle Moran. It's actually a paperback I picked up when I visited Egypt in October. And there are two other books in the series about Nefertiti's sister's daughter, Nefertari, and as well as another Egyptian princess or queen. I cannot remember if it's Cleopatra or not, but those two books are coming in from Amazon at the end of this month, and I'm very excited. So I love art history. I love the messages that get shared and the stories of our history. I think it's so interesting, and I love that we're able to connect these major events and these major world changes and societal changes through a visual object. Remembering that random date where that random person with that white wig fought that dude on that other hill. That's the stuff that never stays in my brain, but it's the art history, the visual aspect of it that helps those things remain in my memory because I just find it to be so much more interesting. So I'm hoping that you all will slowly come to agree. Another person also said that art history can bring awareness to the similarities and differences of societies and cultures from around the world, which is worth more than gold to me. I could not have picked a better quote. I think it's just so well phrased. I mean, it's true. As human beings, we have so many differences, but we do have so many similarities. And being able to find the awareness and the connection within those two things, the similarities and the differences, is absolutely worth more than gold. I mean, the fact that art history can connect us as people is pretty amazing. My favorite art all the time is one that can connect to any person of any age, of any background, of any place of the world, of any of anything in the world. If you can find a connection in that piece of artwork, to me, it's so valuable. So that was such a great way to start this class. Another one of you had said, by understanding art, we can connect with our history, culture, and experiences of others. Again, having that core connective kind of thought process when approaching art history does make it feel more valuable and even more important, especially as we continue to study all of these vastly different cultures that seem to pop up all around the world. Another person said that learning history and knowing how to appreciate it can give you a new perspective. Absolutely, this is true. I mean, come on, the amount of stuff I've learned just by reading random books, it's ridiculous, but it's valuable and it's amazing and it's interesting. It's riveting, it's fun, it's beautiful. I mean, I don't know if you all can tell, I really love this subject. And last but not least, someone had also wrote that art is like a story. Each stroke made from the paintbrush can evoke an emotion from the viewer. Oh, chef's kiss. Beautiful. I love that. I really do find that like understanding the background of the artist can also just be so much fun. I like trying to put myself in their shoes, try to even like work with media or materials that they might have. It gives an even more deeper appreciation for the work that you see in front of you, and just imagining that every single mark made by the artist is an important one. And I mean, that alone just fills me up with so much emotion. Art history does in general. I could just cry thinking about certain sites. I mean, the things that I've been able to see and go to. I've had the opportunity to go to Cambodia. I've been to Italy twice. I've been to Peru, to Machu Picchu. I am hopefully going to be going to Spain this summer. I have had the chance to go to Egypt. I mean, it's amazing. And these things, when you are interacting with art and art history and it kind of comes together in a way where you're in the most beautiful place with the most amazing people, with the most amazing surroundings, maybe the most amazing food, it creates this moment that you will remember for the rest of your life. I mean, I can't even explain to you all how incredible it was seeing the sunrise over Angkor Wat in Siem Reap, Cambodia. I went to a candlelit midnight Latin Christmas mass in the Pantheon, and yes, I cried for a half an hour. It's embarrassing. You know, I've been like sitting at the site of Machu Picchu and looking over the mountain ranges and the clouds being in the sky, and just knowing the Incans traveled 11 days to get to that site. I mean, what are they thinking? But like, wow, was it worth it? It's really amazing, and so I want to give you all so much credit for fully participating, interacting with that brief intro activity. I've left everyone anonymous in this case because it was an anonymous submission, but going forward, when I talk about discussions, I will call out by name. So really quickly, before I finish up the second parter of this video, I want to talk about some quiz questions, which is something that I also like to do every single week to clarify maybe some incorrect answers that were commonly chosen. So one of the first ones we had in quiz number 1, which was Global Prehistory 1 and 2, is what construction was utilized in Stonehenge. And this is kind of a little bit of trick, sorry. So while post and roof seems correct, it is, like I said, kind of a trick. It's actually post and lintel. So that would be why mortise and tenon in this case is correct. Both construction techniques will ensure that the stones stay in their intended places, but you have to imagine post and lintel to be like the way that we would stack Lincoln logs, where we have 2 upright and 1 on top, to create like a doorway. The mortise and tenon are the actual indentations or the cutouts in the Lincoln logs that give each new stone a spot to sit in. And so both of them are really important to why the monument of Stonehenge has actually been around and in such great shape for so long. Flying buttresses don't come around until the Gothic era, and corbelled vaulting is certainly not happening anytime soon. We are in way, way early prehistory right now. So moving on to another question, Paleolithic artists often use a technique called blank to depict the horns of animals. The other answers, optical perspective is actually completely made up. 2-point perspective is a definitely more advanced technique utilized far into the Italian Renaissance to demonstrate depth in a composition, even when the media only produces a 2-dimensional image. And linear perspective would be another less specific way of referring to 1 or 2-point perspective. So composite perspective, or mixed or twisted perspective, means that when we look at sites like Lascaux, for example, you might have the entire bull in profile, but if the head was also in profile, the horns would actually end up lining up next to each other, which means that when we see a bull where we have 2 horns, only the head is slightly twisted. So we do get that twisted perspective or composite perspective. And finally, we have one last question I wanted to review. What is the reason for a researcher's conclusions that Göbekli Tepe site was mostly used for rituals and spiritual ceremonies? So There were a couple answers here. The one that suggested pieces of jewelry found, they were never, so that cannot be correct. Sure, the site might have been difficult to get to, but it was created with great time, care, and detail, so it was not completely inaccessible. If that was the case, then, the site is extremely accessible, but that does not mean that they would have used it like super, super regularly. We don't know the names of any people who might have visited here, but we have not really found any evidence of permanent societies nearby. So this might point to the fact that it was a site considered to be important to the people who would travel in certain parts of the year for an event like a ceremony or a ritualistic celebration or event. Sites like the previously mentioned Stonehenge do this similar thing, and so that is why no permanent settlement has been found nearby would have been the correct answer for that. All right. 2 very long videos to start out week 1. You can put me on 1.3, 1.5 speed if it makes it go faster for you. I'm going to emphasize this within the text of my announcement as well, but it is so important that you folks watch these videos. I really do include a lot of reminders, a lot of clarifications. If I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of emails about something, I'll mention these in my videos, so that way if there's anybody else out there who might find themselves in a similar spot where they are a little lost, then maybe this will help them out a little bit. So, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support of my lovely little Corolla Bob. I'm glad he pulled through. Glad you got to meet Dolly. Moon will be around the corner. And congrats on finishing week 1. We've got 7 to go and so many amazing things to talk about and see. So until next time, bye everybody.